Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our team call. I am Stacy Booth, and today we are going to be talking about how to build this business in the most efficient amount of time possible. And I say that because I do this business, the core of my business, pretty much in an hour a day. So you can do that too. Even if you have to chunk it up into 15-minute blocks, we're going to go over that. So the first and foremost is you need to be diligent and consistent with this business. In actuality, what we do as a business is super easy. The concept is super easy. It's like brushing your teeth, right? Brushing your teeth is really, really easy to do, but it's also one of those things that's kind of easy to not do. You want to do it because otherwise you have smelly breath, but it's one of those things where you are too tired at night and you're like, I'm just going to go to bed tonight, and you kind of miss it. And it's easy to do, it's easy to not do. That's what this business is. It's about being consistent and diligent with the simple tasks. So I wanted to start off right away with something that seems kind of basic and like, well, yeah, but you might not be doing this. You need to start with one task and start it from start to finish. Even if you only have 15 minutes and say you're starting with inviting and you only have time to invite 5 people and your goal was 15, you do the 5 people, and then the next time you have a chunk of time, you pick right back up and you finish that until you've sent all of your invites. Or if you're working on following up, or you're working on some other aspect of your checklist, you want to make sure that you start it from start to finish. If you're answering messages, for example, and you start answering messages and then someone messages you or tags you in a post and you're like, oh, I'm going to go check that out, and then you get off track, you're going to, 1, be wasting a ton of time. 2, you're going to feel like you're all over the place and it feels like you're doing a lot of work all of the time because you're constantly flitting from one thing to the next. You're not just starting one thing and finishing it. So I say that start with one task and finish it. What you need to start with is your income building activities. Those are the things that you need to start with. And chances are, if you're doing a checklist, your business checklist, I can almost guarantee that you don't start with the business building activities. You start with the activities that are comfortable for you and activities that you can just like check off real quick and be like, okay, I did that. But what I'm going to challenge you to do is, instead of doing that, I want you to start with those income building activities. And now you might be saying, well, Stacy, what are the income building activities? I'm glad you asked. So the first one is your invites, obviously. So inviting is a big part of your business and you have to be doing it. And I know that so many times we've done calls on how to invite and how to overcome those fears of sending invites, but you guys just have to put yourself out there and invite people. And you might get no's and you might get yeses, but you never know until you actually send that invite. Or if you're talking to a friend and you talk to them about it, they might not be interested in it, but you still have to ask them because you never know. The worst thing is that when a family or a friend signs up with someone else because they didn't know that you were doing that, or they didn't understand that you could make money from them signing up with you. It's the worst thing ever. So don't let that be you by not reaching out to someone because you're nervous about it, because chances are they could be really into that opportunity. So first thing you need to do for an income building activity is to invite. The second one is to follow up. And I was listening to a call today and talking about, you may go and you may answer all of your messages and you may feel like you've accomplished something for the day. And you're like, yes, I did. I answered all of my messages. I'm good for the day, right? Well, you could be answering 70 something messages, which I actually have that many messages. And 90% of those messages could be just getting to know you conversations, which are important, but they're not a business building activity. So you want to make sure that you actually are working on your follow-ups. So the way that I do follow-ups is I have an iPhone. So if you don't have an iPhone, this might not work for you, but I have an iPhone, and on my iPhone, I have an app called Reminders. And the Reminders is linked to my MacBook Pro. So when I'm on my computer or my phone, I have my follow-up list with me everywhere. So I'll pull it up right here. So I don't know if you can see this. It's a little bit yucky. So all of my invites are there, and it tells me who to follow up with every day. So what I do is, as soon as I send an invite, I put them on that follow-up list, and I follow up with them tomorrow. And I keep following up with them tomorrow as I go through the inviting script with them until either they say no, not right now, maybe next month, or whenever I get that kind of answer, then I push them further back than one day. But I have them on my follow-up list every single day. So I might answer all of my messages, and those people that I'm supposed to follow up with haven't responded to me yet. So if they haven't responded to me, I need to make sure that I'm still following up with them. So does that make sense, how you could be sending messages but not really actually doing any income building opportunities because those people might not have responded to you yet? So follow-ups. So start with invites, then do follow-ups. The third part is something that I shouldn't have to say, but I'm going to say it anyways, but it's be the product of the product. That means that you're drinking your Shakeology and you're talking about it. You're doing your workouts and you're talking about it. You're sharing what this business has done for you, what the products have done for you. That's being a product of the product and letting people know that you are doing them. And you can do that in several different ways. And there's so many different ideas of how to go about it, by not saying the product name and just saying, you're doing this program and describing it so they ask you about it. Or you can come straight out and tell them what you're doing. It doesn't matter how you do it. You just need to make sure that you are sharing that you're doing it in your authentic way, whatever way that is. I don't care. The only thing I don't want to see is like your link to your Shakeology on your Facebook page or something. Please don't do that. So the last one of your income building activities is starting new conversations, which the reason why I'm bringing it up last is because it kind of goes into that answering your messages, because you're starting new conversations and you're following through those conversations, but it's the last item on your list. So you can do all of those first three things first. This should be the last one. And so starting new conversations could be on Instagram. It could be on Facebook, wherever you want to start new conversations. Following up with people on pages that you are interested in, or TV show pages that you're interested in. However you want to follow up or start new conversations with people, that's when you do that. So those are your start with income building activities. That's what you need to make sure that you're doing. So first one is start a task from start to finish. Second is start with the income building activities. If you have time to do other things throughout your day, like maybe you work full time, if you have time to do other things after you finish those four, then by all means add in the additional parts of the checklist, because there are a couple of others, but you want to make sure you start with those. The next thing is stop following coaches. And there might be, this is a tricky situation, because it's not that I don't want you to follow other coaches, but there's two things that can happen when you are following other coaches. One is it's a time waster. So you're scrolling through their stuff and seeing how they're building their business and what they're doing, and that's wasting your time when you could be just focusing on how you would do it, because you and that coach are not the same person. Maybe you're inspired by that person, but you aren't the same person. So the way you do this business is going to be slightly different than she does the business. So don't just sit there and follow other coaches and looking at their stuff all the time, because that's not, again, doing a income building activity at all. It's just wasting your time, and your time is precious because you have other things that you want to be doing. The second thing about following coaches is it can be a joy stealer. And I want you to be aware of this, because if you're following coaches and they really just inspire you, and when you're looking at their page, then you are inspired and you're excited and you're like, yes, I'm just so excited to do this business. That's a great person that you can follow. You might not want to stray on their page for too long because it's wasting time, but it's getting you inspired and excited. But if you're seeing a coach and you see their success and you see how fast they're building it and you just feel discouraged, or it makes you feel like you're not doing as good with the business or whatever the case may be, unfollow that coach. You can still go to their page and search their stuff if you want to, but unfollow it so their stuff isn't popping up into your newsfeed, because you don't need that. You don't need a joy thief. You need something that's uplifting you and positive. So stop following coaches for that reason. The next thing is schedule your time when you work on things. So if you are working a full-time job and doing Beachbody, and maybe you're a mom too, or maybe you're part-time and you're a mom, or whatever the case may be, you have a busy schedule, you need to schedule your time. I work doing this full-time. I am a mom, but I do this full-time, and I have my hours scheduled every single hour throughout the day. And I can give you an example of it if you really want to know real quick. So I wake up at 5:30 and I drink my Energize and I work out. I'm done with my workout by 6:30. I have a couple of minutes to dilly around on my phone if I want to. And at 6:45, I come in from the workout room and I start making lunches for the kids and for Jessie. And I make sure that I wake up the kids, which I have our Alexa Play Top Pop everywhere, and it wakes the kids up. And then from 6:45 until 7:20, I'm making sure that their lunches are all set. They're, eating, they're getting ready for school, and they're out the door by 7:20. At 7:20, Jessie usually leaves around 7:30. I head outside for my walk. I do about 3 to 4 mile walk, and I listen to my personal development while I'm walking. I found that this was really helpful for me because I'm paying attention to what I'm listening to. Sometimes when I'm listening to personal development at home, I get myself doing other things and I'm not actually listening to the words, so I'm not absorbing it like I should. So I get back from my walk about 8:30, sometimes 9. I have from 9 till 11 to do housework or errand running. And so that consists of cleaning or laundry or whatever. And at 11 o'clock, I start my business day. And I work from 11 until 2. And typically, I'm done at 12 o'clock. I give myself from 11 till 2, but I'm typically done with all of my building activities, income building activities by noon, which means I've followed up, I've sent invites, I've sent new messages, I have responded to messages, and now I'm sending Instagram messages and following up on Instagram. So those activities I usually can do in an hour's time. The rest of the time, if I have time, which I usually do, I use to schedule my like page to put posts on there. Or I work on content for my calls like I am tonight. Or I work on shout outs for coach recognition for Thursdays, for example. Or I work on following more people on Instagram. So there's different parts of the day that I have that you don't necessarily need to do to build your business right away, but they're things that I typically start to do. Create a email for my customers and stuff. From 2 to 3 is my free time. So I can do whatever I want. If I want to watch a show, I can watch a show. If I want to continue working, I can continue working. If I want to go sit out by the pool, I can do that. From 3 until 4, I work on homework with Natalie. From 4 to 5, I work on homework with Gavin. And then from 5 to 6, I usually try to figure out what I'm going to make for dinner. Around 6:30, they've eaten dinner. 7:30, I put my kids in their rooms and they can listen to books or they can do whatever. At 8 o'clock, it's lights out. And from 8 until 9:30, when I go to bed, I spend time with Jessie. So my day is 100% scheduled out. I know exactly when I'm going to be doing different things. And you may not have the ability to have as much time as I do to work the business. And that's okay. But you have to schedule out your times, when you're going to work out, when you're going to fit in your business building activities, when you're going to do stuff with your kids and with your husband. Those things need to be scheduled. If you don't schedule your time and you are kind of just doing things on the fly, as far as doing your checklist, you're going to feel like you're on your phone all of the time. And the whole point of this business is to create time for you, not take it away. So you have to be diligent about how you're doing those activities so that you are making the most of your time. We don't want you spending hours and hours and hours doing this. We want you to get in, get out, and get done, right? The other thing about scheduling your time is I usually answer my messages once a day. And this shows my customers that I, answer once a day, but it also shows my coaches or potential coaches that you don't have to be sitting on your computer all day long conversing with people, right? If you give people that much time, they'll take that much time. They'll continue to respond to you. And when I'm responding to messages, sometimes some people will respond right back to me. Unless they're in an invite situation, I don't respond to them until the next day. And you may notice that if you message me, I will only message once a day, and it's usually between 11 and 2 during the day is when I answer messages. That's why I usually say post in the challenge groups or in the team page if you need me, because I might not see the message. So then you need to set goals. You need to set goals, and they need to be tangible. It needs to be something that you can say, this is what I'm working towards. Maybe it's Success Club. Maybe it's a rank advancement. Maybe it's a certain amount of income. Maybe it's, a bigger, longer term goal, like you want to stop working outside of the house. You need to set those goals, but then you need to refigure what you're doing to reach those goals. Are you really doing the income building activities? Are you really showing up for all these other things? Are you making the time to be on Teams calls? Thank you, Jackie. Are you doing those types of things to be involved in the business so that you can reach those goals? So you need to set goals and then work towards them. And then what I would do with the goals is to write them down somewhere. And it doesn't have to be fancy, okay? It doesn't have to be this big vision board. The vision boards are fun to create, but it doesn't have to be. You can just write it on a sticky note and stick it on your computer screen so you see it, or on your refrigerator, wherever you're at a lot. You want a little sticky note that says your goal, so that when at nighttime, if you're working full time and you're like, okay, I need to do my checklist, but I'm so exhausted, you look at that sticky note and you're like, okay, this is why I'm making myself do this right now. Because if you don't know what those goals are, you're not going to make yourself do those activities. Does that make sense? All right. So I wanted to talk about, or give you guys a survey too. And I'm going to post this in the team page as well. So I'm going to start, since Jackie, you're on, I'm going to have you take the survey with me. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, I'm going to have you write down the numbers. So I want you to, you could use your phone too. So I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 10 on all of these things. 1 being not good, 10 being awesome. Okay. So the first one is, I have started and finished the new coach training in the back office.
I don't think I have.
Okay. So. I am on every team call or listen to the recordings if I can't make it. Hey, you're pretty good at the calls.
Well, I scheduled it on my phone.
Mm-hmm. I stay on top of posts in Team Unstoppable. So that means what I'm posting, you're seeing, maybe you're liking, commenting, those types of things. I follow a nutrition plan at least 5 days a week. And I asked this one because that means you are being the product of the product, essentially, right? So if we're not following the nutrition plan and we're not making progress in our fitness, we're not being the best product of the product that we can be. You know, I know we're all human and we have those ups and downs, that's fine. But for the most part, we're following a meal plan. I am proud of my workouts each week. 1 to 10. I am consistently sharing on social media. So this means you're talking about your Shakeology. You're talking about your workouts. You're talking about, what you do as a coach, or you're talking about the upcoming webinars or the challenge groups, those types of things. So it's a little bit of everything, even your own personal stuff on Facebook or social media. I am finding the others, me of the world, and inviting them constantly. So the whole point of this business is that we get to work with people that we enjoy working with, right? So you want to try to find other people like you, because you'll probably get along with yourself, and you'll probably be able to teach them more easier when they're more like you, right? So finding the other yous and inviting them. I am becoming the leader I want to see in my downline. So this one is basically like, what my actions that I'm doing, if I brought on a coach, would I want them to emulate those activities? How comfortable do I feel in that? My actions match my words. So what I'm saying I want is matching what I'm doing to make that happen. Now, some of these, Jackie, are probably way over your head, but it's a good way to gauge where you're at and what areas you might need to work on. And we can talk about that too after this. I control the controllable. So there's lots of parts of this business that you can't control. You can't control who signs up. You can't control who keeps ordering their Shakeology. You can't control all of those things, when they sign up, how they sign up. You can't control that. The only thing that you can control is yourself, the things that you're doing, your orders, those types of things. So you're controlling the controllables and letting everything else go. I believe I am capable of the scary goals I create. This one is a tricky one. This one, when I did this, I did not score myself very high. I was like, okay, there's somewhere I need to work on. So, believing that you're capable of the goals that you create. And then one thing in this business that you are constantly worried about growing. So what part of the business are you constantly worrying about? Whether it be, inviting people, or being scared to even start, or, making a certain amount of money, or being a certain rank, like whatever, something that worries you about the business. And then one thing that you feel proud of that you've been doing lately, whether it be business-wise or personal as far as the business goes. So it doesn't have to be business related, but like maybe you're doing something really great with your workouts and you're improving. So I want you to focus on something that you're doing really well with, because after doing the survey, it can sometimes feel like it's beating you up. So that is the survey. So I'm going to turn off the recording, and then I'm going to open it up to some questions. All right.